Hi, I'm Jen and this is Jyndrawz, and today I'm going to be doing some gem art, some junk art. I'm not sure what to call it because I'm going to be using a variety of paints and markers and inks and things in this Royal Talens sketchbook, and nothing is to be, I don't know, considered finished art. It's just some putting some ink or color down on a page and drawing some gems. And if you don't know, I am learning how to draw gems and jewelry, and so I'm experimenting with a wide variety of materials and supplies, and that's why the last few videos have been unboxing videos, because I'm trying to unbox everything that I've bought and I want to get it unboxed so that I can start using it in this sketchbook and other sketchbooks and using it up in general. And I just want to put some color down on the paper, and then I'm going to draw some gems on top of it. It's kind of like a mix of junk journaling, junk art. I'm not exactly sure what to call it because I'm inventing my own thing maybe, because I just want to draw gems on it. I don't really want to do anything else but draw gems, and gems in the widest, loosest term. You know, it could be just like 2D gems, 3D gems, fully rendered gems, or just, you know, the outline of the gems are sometimes, as you saw when we were doing the previous flip through. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just putting down color on the page, and then I'm going to go over it later and draw in some gems. Maybe I'll call them done, maybe I'll add to them later. I don't know just yet. I'm just playing around and just experimenting, and I would like it if you would join me on this journey. Join me on the ride. Maybe it'll inspire you as well. And if you like this kind of thing, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and maybe leave a comment down below if you have any thoughts or inspirations, or if you have any advice. I'm always open to advice on how to use things, because I'm not that well versed in every material that I have, and I'm always willing to learn and take advice on and see if that works also for me. Maybe it works for me, maybe it doesn't, but I always want to try, because who knows what will click, who knows what won't click, but I definitely want to give it a go and see what happens. So this is a Royal Talens sketchbook. It's one of their small ones. I will link it down below in the comment section. I'm not exactly sure what size it is, but I know it's one of the small ones. And on the left there, that is some Caran d'Ache gouache. They're like little tablets of gouache. I got this set way long ago. I don't even know how long ago it was. I want to say maybe it was like 2015, maybe even earlier, because I had gone on this quest because I had found out that people have a job, and their job is to design and draw jewelry, and I'm like, wow, who knew that was really a job? I know, I come from a really small town. To me, this was amazing to think that people actually get paid to do that, and it's not just some select few who design and that's it, and they do it and nobody else has any say, but they actually hire out designers for this. I was like, wow, that's cool. So how do you do that? What materials do they use? What do they do? How do you do this? And I ended up on a website called GIA. It's the Gemological Institute of America. It's based out of Carlsbad, California. And they, at the time, had some online classes, which was really nice since I'm not in the US, and nor could I just go to California for a couple months to study at their school. So I took some online courses, and that was really neat because I got to learn all about gems and jewelry and like how to sell it and all that kind of fun stuff, and like what the gems are made from, how diamonds are made, where they're mined, and like that whole process. I've got a couple certificates from them. And then I was like, okay, but I really want to know how you draw them and everything. So I did some Googling search way back in, it must have been like 2015, 2012. I should really look it up. But somebody on eBay was selling their old GIA books on how to draw gems. I was like, no way, that's so cool. So I bought them. I think I had to have them shipped to my friend, and then she shipped them over to me. It was a whole long process, I remember, but it was so cool because they had all the books, and the books are really old because they are like typewriter printed pages in the book, so that's really fun. And they even sent me their little toolbox that had all the supplies in it that they had not used up. So that was really cool. I was like, oh great, this is so awesome. I don't even remember how much I paid for it. I don't think it was even that much, but it was well worth it because it really sent me down this path. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. And I was like, okay, they use this paint and it's called gouache. And I'm over here in the Netherlands and I'm like, okay, what does this translate to? And you know, at the time there wasn't too many translators online and nobody really knew. And I'm like, okay, gouache. So I'd go into the art shops. I said, do you have any gouache? And they're like, we don't know what that is. And then I would like kind of describe it to them and they're like, oh, okay, we know what you mean. So then they got me some and they said, well, we have 2 sets here. We have this one by Caran d'Ache and then we had, I think I got some tubes from Royal Talens as well in like the primary colors, magenta, yellow, and cyan, and a black and white, so like the basic mixing colors. And I got this Caran d'Ache set these are like dried cakes, and the ones from Royal Talens were tubes of gouache. And I still have these cakes. They still work great. It's really funny, but I mean, I guess gouache doesn't expire because they're still going strong. They re-wet easily and everything. So I was like, okay, I'll get some gouache. So that's what I put down on those first 2 pages, was just a blending of a cool blue, a warm blue, a cool red, and a warm red that are in the set. And that's what I put down on there, and just a light wash. I pretty much almost used them as watercolor rather than as gouache because it's not really thick on the page. And then I put a piece of paper in between so that the red wouldn't bleed over the blue wouldn't bleed over on the red while it's drying, so I can move on because this paper is super thin and I did not want to wait for it to dry. Even if it's thin, I just wanted to keep coating all the pages in these different materials and get this base coat down and see what it is and play with all these new supplies. Because the next thing here I'm using is some watercolor. Some watercolor that is some Gouache paint. I've never used this before. I have never tried it before, so I had no idea what to expect. And like true watercolors, you never know what color it is, especially those dark ones. You don't know if that's black, it's blue, it could be brown. Who knows what color you're gonna get? So I just would wet them up and then I kind of tried to guess and gauge what color was on my brush before I put it down on either the left or the right side. And I was really pleasantly surprised how fun these were to work with on this cheap paper in this Royal Talens sketchbook. I know it's probably not a masterpiece, it's not a work of art, but I thought it was really fun just to use these Gouache paints on this paper and make something with it and try it out and just experiment. So if you have any of these paints, I advise you, and you have a cheap notebook, it doesn't have to be watercolor or any special paper or anything like that. Just get a brush, wet it down, activate the paint, and throw it down. I mean, look, I think this is really cool. It gave me a really nice effect, especially that light blue kind of has like this cloudy effect over this cream colored paper, and then you got this darker stormy blue color. And then now I'm trying out this like light gray, storm gray, brick gray. I'm not exactly sure what colors they were. I'm sure if I look up the box, I can figure out what colors they were again. But I didn't really care. I just wanted to, lay down some colors that complemented the current color that was on the page and have fun with it, test it out. And yeah, the gouache ran over on the page there. Who cares? It's just a sketchbook. We're just having some fun. That's why I'm calling this junk art or gem art or junk gem art. You guys let me know. What should we call this? Junk gem art? When we get to the final results, you'll give me an idea what we should call this kind of arting. Because it's not junk journaling, because I'm not journaling anything. And it's not really art either, because it's, kind of a mishmash of everything mushed together. Maybe it is art. Maybe I'm inventing a new kind of art. Who knows? Who knows? You guys let me know. I just know I had a lot of fun doing this, and I used some paper in between to try and help stop some of the bleeding of the going around the page, since I'm using watercolor in a non-watercolor sketchbook. So it got a little messy. I'm not gonna lie. It was quite messy, but you know what? I had a lot of fun. It was no thinking. It was just, put the paintbrush in, you get it wet, you throw some paint down on the page, and not caring if I'm actually using the paint as it should be used, and just having fun. Just have fun. I mean, while I was doing this, I'm thinking, I have all these art supplies. Am I ever going to be able to use all of this up in a reasonable amount of time? Ever? And then I was thinking, you know what would be a really great challenge is I'm going to get one of my art supply boxes, one of those mystery monthly boxes, and I'm going to use just the supplies from that box and see how long it takes me to use up those supplies. Yes, Tracy, isn't that a great idea? Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. If you guys heard that, that is my little dog Tracy. She's sleeping on the floor here next to me, and she's off in dreamland, and sometimes she's a little noisy, not gonna lie. But most of the time, I can just ignore it and not hear it, and sometimes people are like, do you not hear that? I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I've like so tuned it out, I don't hear it anymore, and I'm so sorry, but that's her snoring in the background. Anyways, I am going to take one of those mystery subscription boxes. I'm going to use it every single day, or try to use it every single day, or maybe if I miss a day, I do the next day and I use it to make a painting or a drawing or fill a sketchbook spread, whatever it takes. And I'm going to see how long it takes to use down all of the supplies in that box. And my goal is to maybe use all of the supplies from 1 month box down within a month. Is it possible? Do you think it's possible? Do you think I can get it done? Could anybody get it done? Could anybody reasonably use up all of the supplies that you get in a box for the 1 month? Can you? Can you really do that? It's really intriguing to me. I'm really thought about it because I have so many boxes still to unbox, guys. It's a crime. It's a crime, I know. It's a crime to not use art supplies that I have sitting in boxes. So that's why I'm now just using them however I want to, not caring, not worrying about, oh no, I'm going to use it up and I'm not going to have any more. Oh wait, I have another 10 boxes of things that I can unbox and I can just use those from now on. And if I really, really like something, I can then just buy it again. And then at least I know what I like, I know what I want, and I know what works for me, or if it doesn't work for me, I know how I can work with it, or if I do want it, you know. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to try and pick a box, pick all the supplies from it, and just use those for however long it takes to use them up. I've never done this before. I don't know if anybody else has ever tried this before, but I'm very curious to know, can you use up one of those boxes within a month's worth of time? And how long? How many hours? How many paintings can I get done with those? It's going to be a real challenge, and I'm really excited to start that. Okay, now that I'm done with the Gansai Tambi paints, I now am using these paints from Derwent, and they have like pencil in them. I'm so blanking on the name. They were the Graphitint paints. I remember now. Don't have to get them. They are the Graphitint paints. So they're kind of a bit of a gloomy, moody colors. They're not bright or anything like what I was previously painting with. So that's why those are a bit duller. And now I'm using some acrylic ink that I got in a box. And the little eyedropper thingy wasn't really giving me what I wanted. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to take a paintbrush, I'm going to dip it in the ink. If it ruins the brush, it ruins the brush. I don't care. I have a million brushes, and if I gotta say sayonara to this one, then I guess so. But it did live. It lived it. I could just dip it in, put the paint on the page, and rinse it off, and it is still perfect, able to be used. So I'm just like scribbling different things, trying out different backgrounds, trying different things with the ink. I wanted to make it more inky like with using it as though I'm like writing with it, but then I'm just making swirls across the page. And this is like a nice pretty violet color, and I thought, you know, if I keep going over it, I'm going to get different depths, different layers, different textures with it. Some places it'll be thicker, some it'll be thinner, so that'll be really fun to go over with something. I don't know what yet, and we'll see how that will turn out. And what I was trying to do then is on the opposite page is I did either a complementary color or I did a color that's opposite to it on the color wheel, so that you kind of get a bit of cohesiveness between the two pages if I didn't put one color that spread over the two pages. That was my goal here, so that it was a little pleasing to the eye, so it's not too harsh. And not to like you get neon pink and I don't know, some color that really doesn't go well with pink, I don't know. But I wanted to keep a little cohesion and a little niceness so that when you're opening and looking at the spread that they kind of go together, but not really because they're totally different things on different pages. That was my goal. And this was really fun. I was really just like scribbling back and forth and layering it, and because it's yellow, every time you layer it, it gets a little darker and then it's a little lighter in some other spots. I mean, yellow is a very translucent color even in this ink, so that was a lot of fun, just swooshing it up and forth and using it like a dipping well kind of type of thing. Okay, now we gotta move on and we flip the page. Everything is soaking wet. It was so wet, all of this. And I'm so glad I had this thicker printer paper that I could put in between the pages so that at least, you know, it may give off onto that page, but at least it wouldn't rub off onto the opposing page. And now this is some alcohol inks. They were also in a box. This is also a lavender color. This was really fun, just like using it and squeezing the bottle and seeing what would come out. Yes, it's alcohol. It's going to bleed onto the next side, but I think when I do this opposing side on the left side, what happens to that yellow acrylic ink on the other side is really cool. I really like that effect. I wasn't even planning on it. And this turquoise, oh, it was so messy. It was hard to get it to open because you had to put a needle through the tip there to open the hole, and it was really, really messy. As you see, my hands were stained a little, but luckily washing my hands with some soap and I got it off within like a couple hours. So no worries there. Again, doing a similar thing, just squeezing the bottle, seeing what comes out, going across the page, doing some dots. A lot of fun. No thinking. No thinking is allowed here. You just do and go. That's the whole point of this kind of art, is just to no think and go. And here you see how it bled through. And I thought that was kind of neat. That was really cool how it affected the yellow. And now for the unicorn or rainbow. I love this. It's just full of glitter, chock full of glitter. There's like a little ball in there. And every time I was trying to squeeze it, it would get stuck in the nozzle, so then nothing would come out, and then I have to tip it up so that little ball would fall back down, because otherwise the glitter doesn't stay in motion in the fluid, and then you get no glitter. So you kind of have to squeeze a little, let a little bit come out, and then you have to put it vertical, and then shake it some more so that ball bearing falls out of the nozzle, and then you can squeeze and get some more glitter. And I will bring it towards the camera here in a little bit to show you just how much glitter there is. It is so pretty. I can't wait to use more of this one. It's so pretty. I love this one. This one's a lot of sparkle. As you can see, I mean, it's just all glitter, and it's in alcohol ink, so that's really, really cool. Okay, everything's finally dry. I think I gave it like half a day, and then I was like, okay, what am I going to do on these pages? What other mediums? So then I pulled some items from boxes that I've sorted out all of the stuff from the boxes, and I said, okay, let's just select a couple of things and we'll use those on the pages here, and we will draw some diamonds on them. I'll continue the theme that I had from my live stream where I was just drawing diamond outlines on the paper. And I was going to do white on top of the blue and black on top of the pink, because I thought that gave the most contrast and was really a fun combination. And I just wanted to keep this first spread pretty simple. I didn't want to do anything complicated, so I'm like, okay, let's no think about this. Let's just make some diamond outlines and keep it real simple and real plain, because I sometimes just want something simple and plain, and yeah, you know, where you don't have to think too much about it, and yet you still have a great result in the end. And I didn't want to take too many chances because I really liked how these blended, the backgrounds were blended out, and that really was pretty cool. And these Ohuhu acrylic paint markers went over that Caran d'Ache gouache really well, really easily, because I didn't put the gouache down super thick or anything. It's yeah, more like almost a watercolor wash over the page, but a little thicker because it was a little grainy. So that's also why I didn't want to draw too much on these pages with the markers, because I didn't want to wear down the brush nib. And as you can see, aren't my paper clips so cute? These are the cutest paper clips I could ever have found. They are diamonds. They are diamond shapes. They were so cool. I had to get them. There was like a bunch of other shapes in the box, but there was like only 4 that were diamonds. And I was like, I don't care. I'm still gonna get them, even if I use only the diamonds from the set. They are so cool. If they're still available, I will link them also down below. I thought they were a lot of fun. There's some other shapes in there. They're okay, but the diamond ones are my favorite. And they're all this copper color, so they're like a pinky gold, pretty much. That's what gold, yeah, pretty much a copper pinky gold color. It's really cool. And here we go. And again, I didn't use a ruler. I just kind of eyeballed it, see if it was in the middle of the page or not, and just drew a line and drew the lines in, and that was that. I didn't want to, yeah, again, this is just about getting something down on the page, not thinking too much about it, having fun, playing with the supplies, and using them up. That's the goal here, to use them up and not let them set and expire. That's a real waste. It really is. And then I thought, oh, that paint's a little wet still, and I don't want it to leach onto the other side. So here we go again with putting that thicker paper in between the layers, because we don't want to ruin our perfect little art that we've created. And as you see, because the pages got so wet, they were all curling up, which is why I had to use paper clips to hold them down, because I did way too much water on this paper. This paper cannot handle as much water as I did. Even with my light washes, it's just too thin. It just can't handle it. But it's still a lot of fun, you know. It's not expensive, so I don't have to worry about wasting it, because it's really cheap and there is no wasting. Next up, I got these Koh-i-Noor dry marker, I want to say pencils because they're really pencils, but they call them dry markers for some reason in Koh-i-Noor, and it's like this fluorescent red and a fluorescent orange color. And I thought these were really fun to play with and use on these kind of muted pale green gray pages. And I was turned on to these pencils, these dry markers, because of Bai Bun. If you don't know her, you should. She is an awesome artist. She does a lot of mixed media, a lot of watercolor. She also does junk journaling and things like that. I will link her channel down below. That's what has inspired me to do this kind of art, but slightly different and in my own style. She's more Disney themed like that, and I want to do more gem stuff and jewelry, but I kind of love her style, and I want to incorporate that kind of look and theme and freeness into my art as well. So I thought these kind of looked like picture frames, so I thought I would make them into picture frames using these neon colors on top of the muted colors. And that worked out pretty well. It doesn't really show up well on camera, but it is a lot brighter in person. It's just something about neon. It doesn't really, the camera just really can't pick it up. I don't know exactly why. I'm not sure about the science behind that, why cameras have a hard time picking up the neon colors. But it's a very bright neon red and a neon orange. For some reason on camera they look really dull and like just a red and an orange, but they really are neons, and they are a lot of fun. They're fairly cheap. I don't think they're too expensive. At least over here they're not, but that could be because Koh-i-Noor is a EU company, and maybe that's why. I don't know. I will check the Amazon.com and I will link it down below if they are available there at a reasonable price as well. So I thought, oh, look at this. I can make a diamond right in the corner, and then I can make another picture frame inside of that connecting the diamonds. So that's what I did. Again, I planned none of this art. I just, on the moment I was on that page, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to draw. I'm going to draw this, and I'm going to draw this now. And that was that. I did not pre-think, I didn't pre-plan, I didn't really, I mean, the only thing I did do was I went by the pages and I saw what colors the pages were in the end now that they were dry, and I was like, okay, I think these colors and these materials will be fun to use on top of that base. That was the only planning I did, and that was based on the fact I had to use the art supplies that I've unpacked in the last 6 months or maybe a little longer, or if it was already on my desk in my cubbies here that I have for the current art supplies that I'm playing around with. And that was the rules. I couldn't get anything out new that I had, so it was just using the art supplies that I previously had or were already unpacked on my desk. So that was what I did. Again, no planning, just went in and tried and drew something and played around, and I suggest that's what you should do too. Try not to overthink it. Just draw, just put some paint or color or pencil or marker down on the page, and you know, if you hate it, you turn the page and you move on, and you know what, maybe the next day when you look at it, you're like, oh, that's not so bad. Why did I hate it that day? I was being absolutely silly thinking that was awful, when it turned out it wasn't that bad. You know what, maybe I don't like this part, but this part really inspires me that I think this is really cool, and I can use that when I draw my next thing and incorporate that into my new drawing and say, okay, at least I learned this. Or maybe I learned nothing other than I don't like this art supply. That's always a good thing too. You know, you don't know unless you try and play and have fun with it, and that's what I want to do in this sketchbook is try, have fun, and play with it. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right. If it's a mess, it's a mess. That's how I'm going forward. I just want to play and have fun with all my millions of art supplies that I need to use before they expire and before things go bad, and then I would have truly wasted my money buying these and not using the art supplies. So if you have any art supplies, please make sure you use them. Use them no matter what. Even if you don't like what you draw, just use them, because you'll never get better if you don't try and draw. So in this picture frame, I thought, you know what, I'm going to put a diamond really big, and I'm going to put it on its side in the picture frame. I mean, why not? I love this dreamy light blue background, and I thought it kind of made the diamond look like it was actually there and already pre-shaded for me. No shading necessary. Kind of looked like a diamond to begin with this radioactive neon orange outline for the faucets. I mean, let's just imagine that it's real, right? It could be real, right? It'd be like the most expensive diamond ever, right? That's what I think. And I thought, okay, let's darken it up a little, because I noticed on camera you guys could not see it really well, so I darkened it up when in real life I could see it pretty easily. So then I went around the corners, and I thought, okay, what can I do to make this one still a little more different from the picture frame on the left? And while I was filling in these edges here, I thought, hey, you know what? In that center box, I have this old washi tape that I got from a store. And let's stick it down and see how that goes, and make it like, you know, like the diamonds are framing some picture. Who knows? I mean, I wanted to try it out and see if it would actually stick to this page, stick to the watercolor, stick on top of the pencil. And it actually did. I was really amazed, because this washi tape is quite old. I mean, it's like at least a year old. I wasn't sure if it was going to stick down, but it actually did. And I didn't have to use the glue stick that I had gotten out in case it wouldn't stick to the paper. But it stuck down, and I was pleasantly surprised, because when I initially got it and I tried it, it didn't want to stick to anything. But maybe this magical combination of watercolor and paper, and it says, yeah, I'm going to stick to this. So that's what I did. Yeah, it's crooked. I filled in around it and pretended like it's always meant to be like that, and it's just how it's supposed to be. I then went over the diamonds again, because I seen that they were on camera a little faded out, and I wanted to make them a little sharper, a little cleaner, a little brighter, a little more neon. You know, you got a neon red, you got this army camo in the middle, and you got this light turquoise, light gray around the edge. Let's just make a party of it. That was my idea, just to have fun, try it out, and to color it in. And then I was back over here and I was like, you know, I really like that picture frame idea that I had on the left, so let's do that here. And then I thought, let's add some diamonds to the outside picture frame, or sparkles. I'm not sure exactly what you want to call them. Maybe they're sparkles. Let's say we'll add some sparkle to the outside frame. So I took the orange, the neon orange, and I made some sparkles on the outside frame. These did not show up too well. I think that gray is a little too overpowering for this neon orange, but I still thought it was a nice little touch, nice little effect a little addition so it wasn't too plain, too boring. But again, I might come back in later and fill in these pages some more with some other things. I don't know yet. I'm just starting to dabble in this like junk journal, junk arting way. And for me, this was already a pretty big step, adding different things into the page that normally aren't together, different colors, things like that, and the overlaying things. It still is very new to me, so this was already a big step to do this without any planning, without any pre-thought to it. So that's what I did. I just went ahead and just was adding things, and I'm hoping that if I practice this more, yeah, that's the thing, I need to practice this more, I will get more confident in that things will turn out, and then I can layer things more and really get that really junk look to it, where you really lay things over one another. And yes, sometimes it covers up a lot of the background, sometimes it doesn't, but the fact that some pieces still peek through is what gives it that really neat look of junkiness. Junk I don't know, because I'm not junk journaling, I'm not drawing, I'm not adding pictures here, I'm not journaling anything, so that's why I'm not exactly sure what to call this, but we'll call it junk art for now. And just adding things, layering things, coloring, and doing something that is not, you know, pristine or pretty art, let's say. Next up is this kind of red mauve color fading into like a peachy orange color. And on these last two spreads this last spread that I do, it was a lot of fun. I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to combine a Posca pen and that 3D line art abstract Sennelier acrylic paint with this. And I have the Senneliers in a magenta color, and the Posca is this nice bright turquoise color. And I thought those really went well with this mauvey red color and peachy orangey tan color on the right. So I was like, okay, I'm going to draw some diamonds. I'm going to put them out all across the page, different angles, try not to overthink it too much. I really wanted to do more smaller ones, but the bullet tip on this Posca was just way too thick for that. There was no way I could do smaller ones and still keep the lines and keep it somewhat neat. So that's why I kept them all pretty much about the same size, but at least varied to the angle of them on the page so that there creates a little bit of interest with that. Again, I really like how the background just peeks through these, kind of gives them their own little theme, own little shading and touch. I thought that was really cool. I mean, maybe it's just me. I thought it was a lot of fun. And yes, you see some smears on there from the other colors that had leached through, but again, I think that just adds to the fun and grunginess of it and gives it a really neat effect. Then I was like, okay, I gotta add one more in here, and I already got two kind of facing the same way. I don't want to add a fourth one going that same way, so I was like, okay, well, what can I do? What angle? And I was like, well, I guess it still would be that angle, but maybe we'll turn it a little less. So at least they're not all facing the same way or whatever. I was like, oh, maybe I should have planned this a little better, but oh well. Let's get them down because I really want to get to that 3D liner. I really couldn't wait to actually use that on these two pages here, this one spread. And then I thought, okay, let's put a really big one on this opposing page so that we have a contrast. We got one with many, one with one. So we have different things here. And I tried to keep my hand out of the way so you could see what I'm drawing, because I know that's the whole point of this is show you guys what I did so that you can be inspired to draw it as well. As you see, it's just a really simple diamond shape to draw. Just a couple lines, couple angles, and you're done. And you have this outline of a diamond. Okay, this was where the fun part was, because you have to squeeze the bottle, pull the tip along the page, and then try not to wiggle or do anything weird or squeeze too hard one time, because this is like really thick paint coming out of it. It's kind of almost like working with hot glue, but like far less consistent because you got to squeeze the bottle. The bottle's a little solid, so it's not, you can't squeeze easily, and it takes a lot of concentration to draw then a straight line. And I was kind of hoping on this page that that turquoise color would peek out a bit more from underneath the magenta, but it didn't. So then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to outline every single one of these diamonds differently. One I'm going to do just the outside and the one line through the middle, and one I'm going to do just the inside lines, and then another one I'm going to do all of the lines and see how that turns out, if I like any of that, if that'll be something neat or fun. And this paint is really quite something to work with. It's very interesting. I have since watched a couple YouTube videos over it and some shorts over it, and I saw some really interesting things you can do with this paint. Like somebody made like a stained glass type looking painting with it. They put it down, they let it dry, and then they went back in and filled in the spaces with watercolor, and it kind of looked like stained glass, and that was really cool. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a really great idea. I could do something like that too. But I definitely needed a bit more of a stable hand because, as you can see, if you squeeze a little too hard, you get a really big clump out, and you can't wiggle. You got to have like a very steady hand. So no second cup of coffee. Don't do this when you first wake up. You know, you got to be awake, and you can't move the paint either, because then it kind of flattens it and you don't got this nice bead of paint anymore. That's one thing I learned as well while doing this, which is again why this is great to do in a sketchbook, because it's just for fun and you never have to see it again if you never open up the sketchbook again and turn to this page. As you see, the outlined one came out pretty well. It was quite tricky, but I think it looks pretty neat. And now this one I'm just going to do, I think I do just the outline on this one, on the outside and nothing more. And then I thought, okay, I didn't see much of the turquoise underneath it as I'd hoped. So I was going to go over and I was going to make this one like super thick line, and then I was going to put like a thin line of that 3D liner paint over the top of it. But in the end I was like, no, because I already did that on the left side and I don't want to repeat that again on here on the right side. I want both pages to be kind of their own thing. So while I was making these lines extra thick, I was thinking, what can I do that's something a little different than what I did on the left side? I mean, the left side is really cool. I really like how that turned out. That's really neat. I was like, what can I do that is slightly different, but yet brings the two pieces together? And I kept thinking about it. I'm like, oh, what can I do? What can I do? Could I fill in the insides of these triangle shapes with that paint? No, that would take up too much of that paint. That would be way too difficult. I don't think I'm up for that challenge. That's already, that'd be a real challenge. So I was like, what can I do? And then I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, I know what I can do. I can use that paint and make it look like it's radiating out some like pink lines, so that it looks like the sparkle is coming out of the top. So that is what I ended up doing, and you'll see that come to life here in a second. Got a couple more lines to fill in to thicken them up, because I really wanted this one to be a big, bold piece opposing those thinner, finer, more dainty-like pieces that I have there on the left. So here we go. I was like, okay, steady hand, steady pressure. Let's draw some lines out, and away we go. Some are longer, some are shorter, and I tried to vary the angle coming out of that diamond to show the brightness, the sparkle, the prettiness of it. And I think I did pretty okay. I mean, I'm like, it's good. It's nice. It's a place to bring ideas and to try them out and see if I like them, and then you can always improve on them on the next one and see if you really like this idea. I did see that they have a lot of colors in this 3D liner paint, 3D line paint, 3D puff paint. I don't remember the exact name of it, but I will link it down below. And they have some metallic ones, and I think those would be really fun to use on something like this. They will bring a lot of sparkle and a lot of life to it if you wanted to do something like this. And I will tell you, it took forever before it was dry. I had to leave my book open for 1 to 2 hours before it was like touch dry, and it was like a full 24 hours before I felt safe that I could touch the paint and not have it come out like getting mushed or anything like that, because like the outside shell had dried but not the inside core. It took a good day before it was dry, but it is so fun on the page. You get this like lumpy 3D like effect to the page, so that is really cool. And I really liked how that Sennelier turned out on the opposing page, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to go in with that Posca and create something similar on the left side. And I think it just added a little something, just something to the page to really bring them even closer together and add something to them to give them a little more life and to separate them a bit more from the background, which was pretty close in color to that 3D liner paint. So here it is the next day, all dry. I can actually touch it, and you got this nice thick, really kind of almost rubbery feel to it. It was really fun. I think that's something really fun to play around with. These were the other spreads. I'm going to save those for another video to fill those in. But for now, this is what I have. And aren't they so pretty? It was so much fun filling in this little sketchbook with these random supplies. I advise you to get out some random supplies, put some ink or color or paint on a page, and then fill the page with something else. Whatever you like to draw and whatever fills your heart with desire and happiness, put it down on the page. Maybe it's just abstract stuff. You can just leave the pages as is too, with just some abstract scribbles on it. That's also really fun. If you liked this kind of video, please subscribe to my channel. Please give this video a like, leave a comment down below, and tell me which one was your favorite or which supply you would like to try. And I want to say thank you for watching. Thanks for watching, guys. Till the next video. Bye.